Today, you will see me and many other of my fellow speakers stand before you on this stage today. And many of you may wonder, what would it be like if you were to swap positions with any one of us right now? Is there a feeling that lingers with you? Right now, I can start to feel my hands shake, my breath starting to feel short, and my heart start to race. I might feel even a little nauseous. There's a villain standing in the back of my head, saying a million thoughts, saying, what if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? Hello, my name is Jain. I'm a sophomore at River Hill, and today I plan to tell you about the name of this lingering feeling that many of us experience, performance anxiety. What is happening in your brain to cause these thoughts? It is when the central emotional processor of your brain, the amygdala, starts to sense a potentially stressful situation. It starts to send signals to the rest of your body. The main place it starts to send to is your hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus is the connector between your brain and your nervous system. It also regulates the releasing of hormones. This essentially enacts your sympathetic nervous system, or more commonly known as your fight or flight response. The main correlation between the physical symptoms you feel starts when the releasing of hormones happens throughout your body. The main hormones that are released are epinephrine and cortisol. Epinephrine, also more commonly known as adrenaline, is what causes that spiking heart rate and those shaking hands. You start to become more hyper-focused on what the situation is in order to better handle it. The second hormone is called cortisol. Cortisol is your main stress hormone. Scientifically, cortisol increases the glucose intake your brain is having. But in more simpler terms, cortisol essentially makes your cognitive thinking abilities increase in the moment. This means that you're thinking at a faster rate as to what is happening around you. Our fight or flight response has evolved over thousands of years to most efficiently handle our stressful situations. So why is it that sometimes we can discern the situation that we're in and sometimes we cannot? Well, the amygdala is a strange thing. It sends signals all over the place, and sometimes those signals can get crossed. If it isn't when we are able to discern reality, that means our amygdala is able to clearly communicate with our hippocampus, which many of you may know as a storage place for our memories. When it is able to clearly communicate, you're able to contextualize the situation you're in, understanding that you're not actually in danger and that you can go through the situation more calmly. But when your amygdala is going into haywire mode and it cannot clearly communicate with your hippocampus, you tend to forget where you are. You forget that you're not actually in a life or death situation. This is even more likely to happen when you're in a new space. If you are not mentally prepared for what you're about to do, the chances of you forgetting what you're doing or the situation you're in are even more likely. So how common are these feelings of anxiety? According to the Children's Survey of National Health, about 8.6% of children ages 8 through 11 experience anxiety at least once in their life. This statistic grows to 13.7% of children when ages 12 through 17. To put this in perspective, this is roughly 3.24 million people who experience anxiety. The reason I felt it was important to share this statistic is many people feel that anxiety is something that you should be embarrassed of and is something uncommon. On the contrary, it is very common and is something we should address even more because of how significant and commonly resulting this is in people. Anxiety, for most people, is something that allows them to push them to do better when they perform. It allows them to focus more intensely and understand what they're doing. For some, they might even ride it like a high. They might take it as something fun to do and might even take a profession as public speakers. But for others, it can become crippling. So what do you do when this feeling becomes so bad you aren't able to perform the task anymore? The main form of intervention recommended by the National Library of Medicine is psychological intervention, and the treatment is commonly known as cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT. CBT, as described by Harvard Health, is a reconstruction of your way of thinking. It stops you from automatically thinking negatively about yourself and start to think more positively and in fact encourage yourself. It influences you to be your own therapist. I would like to perform a simple CBT exercise with you all right now. A common thought I had before taking this stage is that everybody thinks that I'm a bad public speaker, and people will think that me speaking right now would be bad. Raise your hand if you think somebody directly told you this. Raise your hand if you think I came up with this negative thought all by myself. If you thought the latter, you would be correct. Many of the negative thoughts that we give ourselves are all from our own brains. CBT aims to stop this negative thinking process from happening. It teaches us that many of the negative thoughts we have are not actually reasonable, and that we should encourage ourselves to go through the situations that we are. Anxiety, for some, is a small hill that is easily overcome, but for others, it is a large amount of frustration that can stop them from performing. So, what makes me capable of talking about anxiety with all of you? Well, other than the fact that I'm standing on the stage before you now, I am also a high competitive athlete. I do a sport called fencing. Yes, it's a sport where you stab people and you jump back around. It is a highly competitive sport and very combative. I remember my first fencing competition. I had never been there, I didn't know any of the people there, and I felt genuinely so afraid. But it wasn't the idea of losing that initially sparked my anxiety. It was the feeling of letting down those who had supported me to that moment, the expectation of those around me. Many of you may feel similar, that you are letting down those around you if you fail to do good in those circumstances. But your loved ones don't care about how well you do. They care about how hard you try. You owe it to them and yourselves in order to pursue your dreams, to have your dreams in motion. What I hope you are able to take away from my TED Talk today is that dreams are not something that should be stopped because of anxiety. The villain inside your head should not stop you from doing what you love, what you know you can do, or what I know you can do. Thank you so much.